Second Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakadash, for blessing me with the Spirit to do this lesson. And we warned you. The brothers on the highways and hedges warned you that this was coming. So here they're speaking on another global lockdown, but this time is in the name of, energy. First it was the whole, pandemic back in 2020. Now it's concerning energy, which is just a label they put on the fact that they just want to, they're ushering in a new system, So, we warned you. We warned you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans to get right. But 2/3 of you are not going to get right. You're going to continue to believe in Babylon the Great, that it will come out of this, that it will get back on its feet, right? It will bounce back. But this is it for this country. This is it for this queendom. And we told you. So without any further ado, we're going to play it. Yahweh Shem Yahushua willing, the elect be edified. Shalom.
Lockdown is coming and it's getting serious. This time it's all about energy. Countries are rationing gas. Some are putting limits on how much fuel you can buy. Others are even grounding flights. Slovenia has already become the first country in Europe to implement fuel rationing. South Korea is doing the same thing. They're putting QR codes at the gas pump that limits how much gas each citizen can buy. The Philippines is trying to ground all flights because they don't have any fuel. American Airlines has cut flights by 5%. Governments around the world are trying to push work-at-home mandates to save fuel. Even the International Energy Agency is trying to restrict non-essential travel. Now, does this sound familiar? In 2020, we were told that lockdowns would only last a few weeks. It lasted years. Now, instead of a health crisis, we could be entering a period of peak energy, and that could be just as dangerous as a virus. The new world will be dominated by the power triad: compute, data, and energy. Energy is the foundation of everything. If oil prices don't start coming down, if geopolitical tensions continue, it will keep impacting supply chains, financial markets, global stability. This is bigger than the COVID lockdown. This is a system shift.
You ready for another lockdown? Buckle in. It's going to be called the energy conservation lockdown. It's going to be the same playbook from the 2020 global pandemic lockdown. They're just going to repurpose it and change the title to energy conservation so they can keep you in the house. So let's talk about it. So, the war in the Middle East, gas prices, crude oil through the roof. Countries like Thailand, India, Asia, they're all already standing in line for gasoline. Australia has already gone so far to already put restrictions in place. Work from home, alternate days that you can drive your car on the street based on your driver's license. We want you to carpool. All of that is because of the war in the Middle East and the gas prices going through the roof. And you're probably saying, I don't care. I don't live there. That's not my problem. Remember, the pandemic was a global lockdown. And think about it. Wasn't New York City trying to float a new bill just last week where they were going to implement an 11 p.m. curfew to conserve energy? These million-dollar companies are building data centers everywhere. How do you think they're going to run those data centers? They need energy. And now, conveniently, there's this whole energy crisis due to the war in the Middle East. because we are reliant for our oil from other countries. And one of the reasons why is because the refineries that were in California got shut down by that group of people. And Trump wants to open one back up, and Newsom and his homies are like protesting it. We don't want the refinery reopened because we had an oil spill. We don't want it reopened anymore, which is code for we want to be reliant on oil from other countries because we get kickbacks. So when you're wondering what is going on with the war in the Middle East, this is what's going on. The interesting thing is you guys will come in the comments and tell me that none of this is true when Google is for free. But I want you guys to really dig into what is going on. Pay attention. AI data centers, curfews. Do you think for 1 second they are not literally planning another global lockdown retitled energy conservation? Let me know down in the comments. You ready for another lockdown? I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of you who would love to work from home again because y'all was crying when they took it away.
And this time is going to be different, man. You know how back in 2020 when you was locked down, a lot of people, they gave them an outlet. They told them if they get that shizat, that they would be able to come out. They just got to mask up and stay 6 feet. And you stupid ass Babylonians, that's what you did. Right? So now they're not going to give you an outlet. They're going to tell you this is what we're doing in the name of energy conservance, right? And this is what you got to do. You can only be out at this time. And it's just going to trickle on down to them pretty much telling you can't do a goddamn thing unless you get this new procedure we got. Right? So it's not looking too good for Babylon, man. And Babylon is not gonna bounce back from this.
Give you what they want you to have, and they take it away. They give it to you, and they take it away, and you guys fall for it every single time.
Says energy lockdown has started. It said the USA, it says East Coast power failure, massive outages reported. Yep. And when I'm out, I see, we have this energy company, two of them, major ones. One is National Grid and Con Edison. And you see them all the time out. Just working underground, trying to get something up and running because it was a blackout. And you see it going on throughout the whole globe, man, throughout the four corners. Japan, China, India, Australia, right? And this is the Lord, man. This is all the Lord. So this is 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 11. It says, but I will bring them, Salakia. I'll start at 10. 2nd Esdras 15 and 10. It says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, and I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Egypt today is America, right? Babylon the Great, modern day Egypt. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof, man. So this is the plagues that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing on the earth. But not just America, right? And you jump to verse 27, it says, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For the Most High Power shall not deliver you because ye have sinned against him. So, hey, our people that did not turn to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, they're going to be caught up in all of these plagues that the Lord is going to bring on the earth, man. Right? Because the Lord said, that throughout the whole earth, the plagues are going to be on the globe, man. It says, this is 2nd Ezra 16:1. It says, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Right? What they call the Middle East. Right? That's Western Asia. Right? What they call Egypt is America. It says, gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Right? It says, a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? Right? Plagues is sent throughout the four corners of the earth. Right? And who sent them? Verse 8. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues. And who is he that can drive them away, man? The Lord sent the plagues. Right? It's not going to stop until the Lord says it's going to stop. And the Lord is his determination is to not only gather the nations for World War III, but to plague the hell out of this earth, man. And punish this earth. So let's continue. And the scriptures tell you that everything was going to be, used in rations. Right? Let me see if I can find that. Because, ever since Iran shut down pretty much the Strait of Hormuz to Babylon and its allies, it's been hell with the oil and the energy and things of that. So everything is going up, man. Inflation is gonna go up. Everything's gonna go up, right? Food, heat, fresh. Let me see if that's in here. Might not be in there. No. Eat. See if I can find it. I ain't read that in a minute. Eat that bread. Shalakia, bear with me. Yep. Ezekiel chapter 12. Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse, I'm going to start at 17. It says, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me saying, Son of man, eat thy bread with quaking and drink thy water with trembling and with carefulness. And say unto the people of the land, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of the inhabitants of Jerusalem and of the land of Israel. Now, this was geared toward the Israelites, but today you can put it in the end of days terms, right? Or how people are going to be on the earth. It says, they shall eat their bread with carefulness and drink their water with astonishment, man, because they're not going to know when they're going to drink their next bottle of water or eat their next plate of food. So everything is going to be in rations, man. Everything is going to be eaten in portions, right? It says, and drink their water with astonishment, that her land may be desolate from all that is therein, because of the violence of all them that dwell therein, right? So, this is the time we in, man. It says, shipping insurances premiums are surging and tankers routed are shifting. Major countries such as India are having to ration oil and gas. So, it's the same thing, man. The same way you would eat your food carefully, because you don't know, what's in the future and when you're going to get your next plate of food from, is the same way they looking at the gas and the oil, man. Right? They got to preserve the gas and the oil because we don't know what's going to happen. So with that happening, you everyday Babylonians, you suffering, man. Not saying that we're not going to suffer, because we're going to suffer too. But the difference between the men of the Lord and the prophets and you regular, worldly ass people is that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to protect us, man. Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to be with us in this time of trouble. Right? You don't have no covering. You're not in the secret place, man. It says, major countries such as India are having to ration oil and gas, which until recently were projected to be in surplus. Even before any major infrastructures have been directly struck, geopolitical risks have grown. It said, this is precisely what the Iran war is all about. You have to look into the shadows and not be mesmerized by the U.S. versus them, by the us versus them level of Trump and Netanyahu versus Iran, etc. Always look at the outcome, not the puppet show, because that tells you everything. Then compare that outcome with the global cult agenda driven by the other dimensional forces of dividing people into 15-minute isolation, connected only by the internet, which the cult controls. Well, this place has always been, divided, especially, against the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans. Right? Society doesn't respect, the Israelites. Because that's who we are. We are the Israelites, man. And all of this is a show and a manifestation of us getting up out of here real soon, the Lord returning. Right? So that's the outcome. Right? Everything gonna crash. Right? It's all gonna everything's going to be a struggle. It's all going to go to SHIT. And the war is going to happen. Nuclear war is going to happen because the war has already happened. But it's going to be a nuclear war. It's going to be declared World War III on the top scale. And then the Lord is going to return. But before then, man, it's going to be hell, man. It's going to be hell. It says, the outcome and the agenda can be imposed if you collapse energy supplies on which travel food and almost everything else depends. Yeah, right? Because food, oil, all the things that we use daily, most of them things are imported, right? From other countries. So you cut off the energy, that means you cut the supplies to be able to move the things that you need. And you got it says remember scarcity, dependency, and control. Because what? You dealing with the devil, man. Right? When you go to Revelation chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at I'm gonna start at verse 4. Revelation 6 and 4 says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon. So this red horse, this is Esau Edom, man. Right? The devil. It says, and power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, man. And this is who's taking peace from the earth. This devil. It says, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, man. Right? The great sword is his technology, his weaponry. Verse 5, it says, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Right? So when you go here, I still had it. It says, the rider of the black horse in Revelation 6 and 5 holds a pair of balances or scales in his hand, symbolizing a time of severe famine, economic collapse, and scarcity. Right? This figure indicates that food is weighed, representing a high cost of living where a day's wages only buy enough food for one person, man. Right? So this is the scriptures don't lie. It says the symbolism of the black horse. The color represents mourning, famine, and death. Significance of the scales. The balances signify that food is being rationed due to scarcity rather than sold in abundance. Economic impact. A voice in the passage states that the quart of wheat costs denarius, a full day's wage, indicates that basic necessities become luxuries, man, because you're not going to be able, inflation is going to be so high, right, that it's going to feel like you spending, 50,000 on a loaf of bread. So when you finally get that bread, you're going to be, a little relieved. It says judgment and mercy. While the rider brings famine and destruction to not damage the oil and the wine, items that take longer to produce suggest that the famine is controlled and limited, showing mercy amidst judgment. Well, it is taking away the oil, right? So, we on Google, so you take the meat and throw away the bone, right? It is taking away the oil. The oil, let me take that. Let me say it another way. The oil is there, but this devil, he wants full control, right? And in that control, what does it say? He takes peace from the earth, right? He takes peace from the earth. So this is one way he's taking the peace from the earth, man. He's controlling the energy, right? And saying that in order for us to conserve the energy, we have to lock the cities down. We gotta pretty much kill your life switch on what you do on a daily basis.
Here it is again. World Health Organization. Prepare for what's coming. Let's check out what is coming. Oh, well, what's this? Energy lockdown has started. Let's look further into it. I see this oil price right here. Let's go further into it. All right, well, check this out. The International Energy Agency published an energy lockdown. Alternating driving days based on license plates, mandatory speed limit. Let's keep looking. 3, avoid air travel where alternatives exist. That's most places. Switch from gas cooking to electric. Work from home. Does this all sound familiar? Does it? It's the exact same playbook, but even harsher the second time around. So we cannot be playing games with this one, and it's coming. There's no stopping this energy crisis that they created. Isn't that fucking funny? They created it, and now we have to deal with it. It's how it always fucking goes. Entertainment purposes only.
So a new lockdown is being introduced around the world. And no, it's not like the 2020 lockdown. They're calling it an energy lockdown. And what that means is that a lot of countries are now putting in measures like you should only work from home. You should only leave your house for essential travel. Airlines are also cutting their flights. American Airlines have just dropped their flights by 5% this week. Now, energy prices are going up, and it's going to become a situation where some people actually cannot afford to leave the house because energy prices are so high. If you go to your local petrol station right now, the prices are already up, and the full effect hasn't even hit yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, the work from home situation, that sounds like a benefit for a lot of people. So I can get why for a lot of people that's awesome and that's great. But when you're having governments tell you only go out for essential travel or avoid any other travel apart from essential travel, not great. And remember, back in 2020, lockdown was only meant to be for 2 weeks. It lasted 2 years. And how far is this going to go to the point where it becomes mandatory? Because no one thought that was going to happen in 2020, but it did. So could we go down that same road again? Is it going to be the same as 2020? What do you guys think?
Okay, hold on a second. If we were in...
And that's the great miseries that's coming down upon you people of the world, man. Right? Throughout the 4 corners of the earth. You know? You people have no clue. And we warned you. We told you this was coming, man. Right? We didn't know how the Lord was going to play it, but we knew that he was going to shut shit down again. We knew that the Lord was going to bring the plagues. And this is not it.
2019 right now, and someone made a video saying, hey, here's what's going to happen in 2020, 21, and 22, including the 2 week to flatten the curve, which turned into 2 or 3 years, and all the other crazy stuff. You'd want to hear about it, right? To be prepared, to be aware, to know what's coming around the corner. Well, we have an idea as to what is about to happen because of the energy crisis that's looming right now and really in the midst. So listen to this. The International Energy Agency released their Sheltering from Oil Shocks report on Friday. And they listed steps. This is kind of like when we have advisories coming out of the World Economic Forum saying, well, we should probably do this if we want to slow the curve. This is another version of that. And this is what they're suggesting to do to be able to slow or stop the effect of the supply shock. So this is a 10-point plan. And if we were to follow the plan, restrictions to movement would be apparent. Now, to clarify, some of this is not confirmed. Some of this is opinion. Some of this is conjecture. We're wondering how exactly this is going to pan out. But listen to this. You got to read between the lines. Alternating days that you can drive on the road based on your license plate. Speed limits lowered everywhere. This is just what they've tabled. It's not confirmed. It's not mandated or anything yet. Car-free Sundays was suggested. This says 40% of flights cut, but that's not confirmed, but there would be less air travel. Working from home is already being suggested in Vietnam, Thailand, and all throughout Asia. Carpooling would be heavily suggested. And also people would want to do that anyway if the price of gas and diesel is through the roof. Now, they're going to call this temporary energy measures. We know that. However, remember, it was supposed to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and it lasted 2 years. They're calling it temporary energy measures during a war, but wars last decades. We know during Shmovid-19, that took away many people's right to gather. This could affect our right to move.
The Philippines officially now under a state of national emergency, nearly a month since the United States and Israel first launched strikes against Iran. And this declaration made by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. painted a gloomy picture, saying Philippine-flagged commercial airplanes could be grounded if the conflict in the Middle East continues and oil and gas shipments remain disrupted. But nothing exemplifies this state of emergency more than petrol stations across the country where prices have been soaring. And you can see here, diesel prices already in the 3 digits, equivalent to more than $2 a liter.
Ooh.
Prices.
Look at that. This is in the Philippines. I don't know the percentage over there. I can't really see what's what. I would I would have did the numbers over here according to US dollars.
Than $2 a liter, prices that were unimaginable just 4 weeks ago. And that's why senators have been urging the president to declare a state of national emergency. And finally, on Tuesday evening, the president relented. But what does this mean? It means that there must be enough funds to be able to give cash dole-outs and fuel subsidies. It ensures that there is continuous supply of food, agricultural products, as well as other basic necessities. It ensures that law enforcement is deployed to prevent hoarding. But most importantly, it ensures that there is enough supply of energy. But the main concern, of course, for most Filipinos is the domino effect of rising oil prices, which is inevitably and eventually a cost of living crisis.
Mentioned that the IEA chief basically said the shit is hitting the fan, everything's falling apart. And he just published Lockdowns 2.0, an energy lockdown playbook. They released a 10-point plan over the weekend telling governments to restrict driving, ground flights, force remote work, and ban gas cooking. They called it sheltering from oil shocks, writes Aaron Day. Here's the plan. Number 1, they're recommending alternating driving days based on your license plate number, odd plates on Monday, even plates on Tuesday, and countries are now already implementing this. They are recommending mandatory speed limit reductions on every highway, not for safety, but fuel rationing by another name. You can still drive, just slower and less often. Number 3, avoiding all air travel where alternatives exist.
And you hear this, man? This is the devil, man. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, man. This is an unrighteous decree. Clearly, man. Telling you that you can only drive certain days according to your license plate, man. Telling you to work from home. Telling you can't cook on a gas stove no more. It has to be a electric stove. Right? This man is the devil, man. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, man. So, hey, man, this is something that they, plan down the line. Well, they had this in play decades ago, but this is all from, their own moves. So they made a stupid decision, and now everybody else got to pay for it, man. And they're gonna what was said, what they said, you can never let a good crisis go to waste. So I forgot who said it. But yeah, so they're going to use this to put more hell on you Babylonians, man.
They didn't define what that actually meant, but the ambiguity, writes Aaron Day, is the feature. It lets regulators decide after the fact whether your trip was essential or not. Non-essential versus essential. Does that ring any bells? Here's another one. Switch from gas cooking to electric. The IEA is now telling you what appliances you can use in your kitchen. And the same agency that published net zero by 2050 is calling now for thermostats to be capped at 19 degrees and a ban on new gas boilers. This is not new, it's accelerating. And then work from home if possible. The guidelines mimic 2020 when they locked down the world and called it public health. In 2026, they're locking down movement and calling it energy security.
Oh, here comes the machine. It's gonna get you. Oh, the claw's gonna get you. Don't run from me. Don't run from me. Don't run from me. It's gonna get you. No. You're gonna get it. Oh, yes, it's the machine. The machine is gonna get you all at the same time.
A new global lockdown is rolling out around the world, and it's starting to feel very similar to 2020. But this time, it's not a health emergency; it's an energy.
Imagine when this thing really hits full effect. When this go into full effect, and the people here in Babylon take matters into their own hands, man, because you're gonna have people that are gonna just lash out. Right? People are gonna crash out, lash out. They're gonna turn on each other because you know they're in need. I told you, Second Edges 15, man, is is manifesting. 16 is manifesting, man. It's only a matter of time, and we here. We here, man. We here.
Crisis. The International Energy Agency just released a plan called Sheltering from Oil Shock, recommending governments to restrict travel on certain days. So what that means is you'll have allocated driving days based upon your license number, speed limit reductions to save on fuel, avoiding air travel, and many airlines have begun cutting flights, recommending to work from home where possible, which sounds harmless until you realize how easy it becomes for companies to run with fewer people, especially with AI these days. Remember, in 2020, they locked down the world in the name of public health. Now in 2026, they're locking down the world in the name of energy security. They're calling it temporary measures, but temporary measures have a way of becoming permanent. Now, I'm not saying that this means lockdown's coming tomorrow, and they didn't in 2020, but it does show you how quickly the rules can change.
In this together.
And I just read this, man. I told you, Second Edges is jumping off the pages, man. Right? Let's put this here. looking for this right here. This is Jeremiah 51 and verse 7. Because we at the time where Babylon is falling. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken, and nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad, right? Because they see what kind of a slime and what kind of a traitor and what and how much you cannot trust Esau, Edom, the devil, right, over here in Babylon. It says, we will have healed, Salakia, verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, and so she may be healed. We will not have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. Let us go everyone unto his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies, man. And this place has been wicked for a long time, man. And the Lord said that the harvest is right, man. Right? Wickedness is great. So now we're in the time of the judgment of the Heavenly Father, man. We're in the judgment of the Heavenly Father. Let's go back to 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 17. Because they're telling you can't drive certain days, you can't they rationing how long you drive and was it essential or non-essential and all that. This is 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, man. They shutting down flights, right? They grounding 5% of American airline flights. The Philippines, they can't fly out, right? Because they low on oil. Verse 18, it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, man. Right? Everybody's afraid. Nobody wants to go back in lockdown, especially here in America, because what? America's about to, it's about to be, summertime. So imagine, the summer coming and this place is a goddamn ghost town. People not with it now because they went through it in 2020 and they saying we're not going through it again. So it's going to be a huge revolt. It's going to be, heads rolling. Right? It's going to be heads rolling, man. But let me get this last one. We're going to shut it down because the brother did have up, 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter about the plagues drawing nigh, and they ain't going to be slack. There's going to be one plague after another. And that's all the Lord, man. Everything is of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. But let me show you why all of this is happening. With all these countries you see up here and the ones that you don't see, why these things are happening in these countries. Why are all these plagues happening in all these countries? This is Baruch, and we're going to shut it down with this. Baruch chapter 4, and I'm going to start at 30. It says, take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Who's Jerusalem? The Israelites, so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. It says, miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoiced at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served, right? And these are countries, cities, right? On different parts of, continents, right? It says on different continents. The Lord said, miserable are the cities, man. You got Israelites in every one of these places right here. Israelites everywhere, man. And how are they living in these countries? Slaves, downtrodden, the lowest, not regarded, disrespected, right? So the Lord said, what? Miserable all the cities which thy children served, and the children are still serving them, the Israelites. It says, miserable is she that received thy sons, because Israelites were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So everybody that got an Israelite in their city, Israelites in their city, in their country, they're going to be miserable, right? They're going to be brought to naught because you happily took Israelites as slaves in your country, right? It says, For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. That's going into Babylon, right? The USA, right? For I will take away the rejoicing of a great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. So it's about to be a bunch of mourning in all of these countries, man. These other nations, they're on their way out. And Jacob is on his way up, man. So, hey, just keep watching. Pay attention to what's going on in the earth, and don't stop looking, man. The Lord said, "Watch as well as pray." Because we almost up out of here, man. So, I'm gonna leave it there. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua willing, the elect was edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rakakadash, for blessing me with the Spirit to do this lesson. And it wasn't longer than I expected, but it's all through the Spirit. So, hey, man. So the next lesson, I'm gonna say Shalom.